When I first met Nathan, he was sitting alone in the corner of the bookstore where I worked part-time. His head was buried in a worn copy of The Great Gatsby, and I remember thinking he looked like someone who carried the weight of his thoughts a little too heavily. There was something in the way he turned the pages, like he was hoping to find something hidden between the lines. I didn't know then that meeting Nathan would change the trajectory of my entire life. I was 24, fresh out of college, and trying to figure out where I belonged in a world that seemed too fast and too cold. Nathan, with his quiet charm and thoughtful eyes, seemed like the warm light I'd been searching for. We started talking casually when he'd come into the store, asking for recommendations or just to chat about the books he was reading. He always listened intently, like every word mattered. Eventually, those conversations turned into coffee dates, then dinners, and before I knew it, we were falling in love. In the beginning, being with Nathan felt like floating. He made me laugh, made me feel seen, and for once I didn't feel like I had to try so hard to be enough. He told me about his dreams, becoming a writer, traveling the world, living in a way that most people only fantasized about. And I admired him for it. He had this hunger, this drive, this endless desire to reach for more. First, I thought I could help him get there. I believed that if I loved him hard enough, supported him with everything I had, then maybe his desires and my devotion would meet somewhere in the middle. I moved into his apartment a few months after we officially became a couple. It was a small place in Brooklyn with cracked ceilings and creaky floors, but it felt like a palace because it was ours. I took care of the little things, cooking, cleaning, managing our bills, so he could focus on his writing. I wanted to build a foundation where he could chase his dreams freely. He used to call me his muse. He'd stay up late, typing on his laptop while I curled beside him with a book. He'd read me passages and ask what I thought. Those moments made me feel like we were creating something beautiful together. But slowly, things began to shift. Nathan's desire started to burn brighter, hotter, and it didn't matter how much fuel I tried to pour into it. It was never enough. He became more consumed by what he didn't have than what we did. He'd talk about needing more space, more inspiration, more life experience. He said New York was starting to feel small, that he wanted to move to the West Coast. I offered to go with him, to uproot everything and start over. But his hesitation told me what he couldn't say out loud. He wasn't sure if I fit into the life he was chasing. Still, I tried. I picked up extra shifts at the store to save money for the move, helped him research literary agents, and even edited his manuscript. I believed in him and I believed in us. But the more I gave, the more it felt like I was fading in his eyes. His compliments became less frequent. His touches more absent-minded. One night, after a particularly long silence over dinner, I asked him if something was wrong. He looked at me like he was trying to see through me. "I don't know," he said. "I just feel like I'm supposed to be somewhere else, doing something bigger." I nodded, biting the inside of my cheek to keep from crying. I told him I understood, even though I didn't. Then came the night that broke me. He came home later than usual, smelling faintly of perfume I didn't recognize. His eyes avoided mine, and his answers to my questions were clipped. I didn't press him. I was too scared of what I might find if I did. But I knew deep down that I was no longer the one who stirred his passion. Still, I stayed. I convinced myself it was just a phase, that if I just held on tighter, he'd come back to me. I planned a weekend getaway. Just the two of us, no distractions, just love. I booked a cabin upstate, cooked all his favorite meals, and even bought him a new leather journal. I told myself this would remind him of who we were, of what we had. The trip started well enough. He smiled more, laughed with me like he used to. We took walks by the lake and talked about our early days. But one night, while I was getting ready for bed, I saw him on the porch, phone pressed to his ear, whispering in a voice I hadn't heard in a long time. When he came back inside, he pretended nothing had happened. I didn't say anything either. My heart was too tired for confrontation. When we got back to the city, I felt the shift more than ever. He stopped sharing his writing with me. He started going out without telling me where he was going. And one evening, as I sat on the couch folding laundry, he stood in the doorway and said, "I think I need some space." I looked up, confused. "What kind of space?" I asked, my voice trembling. "I don't know, just space to figure things out. Maybe stay with a friend for a while." My heart cracked open like glass. I asked him if there was someone else. He didn't deny it. He just looked at the floor and said, "I didn't mean for it to happen." I wanted to scream, to beg, to make him see what we had. But I didn't. Instead, I helped him pack. After he left, the apartment felt like a museum of our life. His books were still on the shelves, his coffee mug still in the sink. I walked through each room like a ghost, trying to understand how I had given everything I had and still lost him. For weeks, I avoided friends, deleted social media, and went through the motions of living without really being alive. I kept replaying every moment in my head, wondering what I could have done differently. What I didn't understand then was that some people aren't looking for love, they're looking for an escape. And no matter how much you give, if someone is chasing something they can't even define, your love becomes just another thing they leave behind. It took time, months of grief, therapy, and slow mornings, but I began to rebuild. I started journaling, not for anyone else, just for me. I reconnected with old friends, found joy in the mundane, and eventually moved out of the apartment that had become too heavy with memories. One day I got a message from Nathan. He said he was in Los Angeles now, that he'd published a few pieces and was working on a screenplay. He said he hoped I was doing okay. I didn't reply. I didn't need to. I had nothing left to say. I had loved him with everything I had. I gave him my heart, my time, my support, everything I thought love meant. But it wasn't enough, not because I wasn't enough, but because his desire was never about me. It was about something he was trying to fill within himself. Now, I know that real love isn't about pouring yourself out until you're empty. It's about mutual growth, shared dreams, and being enough without having to prove it every day. Nathan taught me that not all love stories are meant to last forever. Some are meant to teach us what we truly deserve. And I deserve someone who sees me not as a stepping stone, but as a home. That lesson cost me tears, sleepless nights, and pieces of myself I'll never get back. But it also gave me the strength to rise again, to love again. And this time it'll be different.